What movies that make you go WTF did I just watch? Skins. Skins is an anthology body horror movie about deformed and disabled and disfigured people. Each character and sequence and segment has a disabled character with a different and unique deformity and disfigurement. The first scene and sequence begins with a woman who was born with her anus in the place where her mouth should be, and her mouth where her anus should be. It sounds like a joke and doesn't seem like a real movie, but it is, and I've seen it. It's so disturbing and bizarre that I'm shocked it's allowed on Netflix. Regardless, it'll leave you saying what in the absolute fuck. I'd quit the movie was called, but it had something to do with a dude trying to buy a carnival. I'd the plot because it was just a stream of random people talking about the most stupid stuff. I literally watched 3/4 of it having no idea WTF was happening and what purpose do these characters have in the story. On top of the lack of plot, the acting was atrocious. One of the main characters laughed through half of his lines, even the serious ones. I know it wasn't independent, but still should be watchable. The Tree of Life. Credits roll and I say, what the fuck was that movie about? Then I look over to my wife, tears flowing down her cheeks, full on sobbing. Apparently the movie was a perfect analogy to going through the steps of grief when someone you love dies. She had lost her dad a year before. At the time I didn't really know many people who passed, so I could not relate, but yeah. Apparently she said the movie reflected everything she felt for months after his passing. I watched 2001: Space Odyssey as a kid hoping it would be like Star Wars Aliens. But nope. During that traveling scene at the end I went and did something else and came back and it was still going and really wondered what in the world I was watching. I think I even fast forwarded it as it kept going, and I never fast forward a movie I've never seen. I still kinda feel that way today, but now I admire how ahead of its time the effects and cinematography are. My friend chose a movie on movie night. It was some Japanese stuff. There was a man in an empty room. There was penises on the walls. Every time when they touched one it made a sound and something happened. Like gigantic ass from ceiling farting on him. Wild dogs running from one wall to other. And other crazy stuff. I don't know the name of the movie, but it was the weirdest shit I ever watched. Edit, I found it. The name is simple. Blair Witch 2: Book of Shadows. The Blair Witch Project was revolutionary when it came out, altered how movies were made and marketed, started a whole genre of found footage, etc. Then they released a generic horror picture as a sequel. And there was an even Book of Shadows. Like, you could have given 3 other filmmakers camcorders and they would have produced a better, more true to form sequel, for like 10 grand. My favorite WTF movies that I absolutely love are The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the 8th Dimension, and Blood Tea and Red String. The most WTF of any WTF movie I have ever seen was Forbidden Zone. It was borderline indescribable. If borderline indescribable was a phrase that didn't exist, it would be actually indescribable. I would listen to the soundtrack anytime, though. The Lighthouse. Easily the worst A24 film. It was pretty, it had a good premise and actors too. It promised deep-sea eldritch horrors beyond comprehension, but all we got were farts, uncomfortable jerk-off scenes, and a character study of Defoe screaming and farting at Patterson. I hate this movie and will never, ever, watch it again. Ever. Fantastic Planet. I definitely was in the WTF did I just watch mindset. Even more so because the first time I saw it was in an art house warehouse with 3 musicians playing the score along with the movie. The art students had even decorated the warehouse with giant sculptures. Great movie to see while high. Space Milkshake. The plot follows a space garbage crew that finds a rubber duck that happens to be one of the crew's ex-boyfriends who merged with the duck when he jumped through a wormhole. He runs around destroying things on the ship as he slowly mutates into a grotesque monster. Napoleon Dynamite. People swore up and down it got funnier the second time, but through a series of unfortunate circumstances I ended up seeing it 3 times in a few months. Every time I finished the movie I was left thinking, what even was that and why did I watch it? Inception. I have watched it, without interruptions, 8 times and I feel like I'm dumber than I was before I started watching it, as I'm not grasping something. Unless it's like Biggie said, it was all a dream, then I understand it completely. Tideland by Terry Gilliam. A trippy movie on its own, and at times extremely unsettling. I watched it unknowingly while stoned out of my mind. I remember thinking, dude, I'm so fucked up, thinking that was the cause of its strangeness. Spit on Your Grave I think it was called. I've seen a bunch of movies, but midway through, I was debating what was wrong with whomever decided to remake the movie. It was a bit much, and my favorite movies are House of 1000, Devil's Rejects, Zardos. The only movie I have ever watched beginning to end and still wondered what the fuck the movie was actually about. And Communication, Mother, starring Jennifer Lawrence. I went in with no expectations or background and was just seeing a movie a week because I had Movie Pass. The exact phrase going through my head when I left was, "WTF did I just watch The Green Knight? Probably the biggest waste of time I'll have in my entire life," smiley face. There was literally zero reason I needed to watch the main character jerk off and bust all over his own hand either, smiley face. Terrible fucking movie. Greener grass. Soccer moms Jill and Lisa compete for approval and acceptance in a bizarre suburbia while their kids battle it out on the playing field. It's such a weird and colorful movie. I do recommend it though. Hentai Kamen, aka a forbidden superhero. It's a live-action film based on a manga about a superhero who gets his superpowers from being a pervert. It's actually a very entertaining film, but very WTF. I absolutely love stupid horror comedies. They're completely fantastic to me. My absolute favorite is called House Shark. Had my friend watch it and he was like, "WTF did I just watch?" Figured that would fit here. Memento. One of my all-time favorite movies. Immediately after the first time I watched it, I was pleased to hear that the DVD had an Easter egg to watch the whole movie in chronological order. Mad God. It's a stop-motion passion project from Phil Tippett. Took him years to make it. It's such a trip, there's a strong possibility you won't be able to pass a drug screening after viewing Sound of Space with Nick Cage. That movie was fucking weird. Same with Her with Joaquin Phoenix. Good movie, but just made me think about how real that could be in a not so far off future. Renfield on Amazon Prime. I was expecting absolutely nothing, but it was really entertaining and wild. Also, I'd watched Bram Stoker's Dracula the night before, so it was a great contrast. There's this movie called Joshua and the Promised Land. It's with very poorly animated anthro lions. There's also the movie Tusk. Both made me reconsider my life choices. Star Wars: The Last Jedi. After the scene where Poe is trolling the First Order, "Can you hear me now?" I was like, "WTF am I watching?" Then the rest of the movie happened. Everything Everywhere All at Once. To be fair, I didn't get to the end to be able to WTF did I just watch? I stopped like 75 through and said, "WTF am I watching?" Martyrs, the original one, is obviously better, but both versions are pretty fucked up. This is coming from somebody whose first horror movie was The Exorcist at age 6. Mother, and I'm sick of people telling me I must have not understood the film. I perfectly did, it just was a pure WTF film that went on for longer than it should. Velocipaster. Kung Pao Under the Fist. Fantastic Mr. Fox. Movie night gets real interesting when it's a certain friend's turn to choose. Also, Barbarian. Shame basically with two female friends in TGE cinema. Like watching a porn movie together. We all had boyfriend's girlfriend at the time. Super awkward. Men. I mean, I get it, kinda, but probably not. It was the first movie my wife and I have ever watched in theater and just not talked about on the drive home. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind is such a scattered and confusing movie. I mean, it was funny sometimes and weird some others, but overall what a drag. How is Beau is Afraid not on here yet? I just watched it for the second time and I was still just sitting there saying what the fuck the whole time. Definitely saving this post for my weekend plans. I love WTF movies. Try, The Torn Horse. Read up about it beforehand to give it some meaning. Tetsuo the Iron Man. Waxor, The Discovery of Television Among the Bees. One of the first films to have a website, if you can believe it. There was a weird as fuck animated movie I showed to my friends a few years ago called Max and Me. Bizarre as hell. Kinda beautiful though. I Spit on Your Grave. Starts out like a normal movie, then goes full on rape and torture for the rest of it. Disturbing to say the least. Dirty Grandpa on Netflix. This movie feels like the multiverse with no plot and a lot of swearing. Good to watch before going to bed though. Bones and All. Watched countless horror movies, psychological and gruesome. But that shit just hit me differently for some reason. Just one? A Serbian film. Clown. Short Bus. Anthropophagus. 3 horror movies and a porn movie cosplaying as an indie film. I saw The Matrix in the theater whilst high as fuck. It took me a while after the movie was over to process what I just watched. Mr. Right. One of the weirdest movies I've seen that is obviously meant to be weird. Spent the movie going, oh, it got weirder. Interstellar. I entered expecting something akin to 2001: A Space Odyssey, but fancier. Yet it turned out to be cathartic. I'm a big Nicolas Cage fan and I watched Color Out of Space. If you haven't seen it and you want a good head fuck, watch it. The Do-Over. Netflix move with Adam Sandler. I don't get to pick movies on movie night that I haven't already seen anymore. Happiness. It had Philip Seymour Hoffman and it came out in 1998. Wonderful film, but it dealt with some disturbing issues. An A24 movie called Lamb, but pretty much after every A24 movie you feel like that ha ha ha, but that's why they're so great. I've watched Tarkovsky's Stalker when bedridden with flu fever. It was a trip, great one though. It's a beautiful movie. Srpski film, aka Serbian film. I really thought I was going to get my door smashed open by a police squad for watching A Scanner Darkly. It took me like 3 watches to fully understand it. To be fair, I was on shrooms a few of those times. Southland Tales. The less you know going in the better. I don't think anyone involved has any idea what they got into. The claymation horror film Mad God. I don't know what drugs the creators were on, but that film is totally bizarre. Alone in the Dark. House of the Dead. Movies by Udable. The best worst movies to watch. Edit Turkish. Star Wars. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. It was a great movie, but I'll need to watch it about a dozen more times. Bronson and Valhalla Rising. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy them, but they both definitely qualify for the question. If you ever wanted to see a movie about a rogue killer tire, go watch the movie Rubber. It's quite an adventure. Vivarium was weird as hell. I had to go read the synopsis, the reviews, everything available to make sense of it.